Hello and welcome to a tutorial series. If you are new to this channel, then you probably found this video by a search or a suggested video. If that is the case, I encourage you to check out the rest of the channel. I have several Construct 3 video tutorial series where we create games or game mechanics. And for those of you who are familiar with the channel, then you probably saw the preview for this particular series. Today we are creating a grappling hook mechanic. Our player will be able to run and jump just like on a platform game, but has a pretty good working grappling mechanic. And you can swing on it, you can use it to reach other locations or skip over traps below, or whatever your imagination comes up with. In addition to the grappling hook, we'll also create a cooldown bar. Once the cooldown bar reaches a 0 value, the grappling hook will break and then it'll refill and you'll be able to use it again. I have provided the assets for this project in the description of every video in this series. And of course, if you have your own or you are looking for a grappling hook mechanic for your own project, then you obviously will have your own assets to use. So I'm going to go ahead and just get right into this project. So let's go ahead and start a new project. I'm just going to call this Grappling Hook. You can call yours whatever you want. I'm just going to put this at 720 landscape for right now. As soon as we get into it, I'm going to change it. Looks good. Let's go ahead and create that. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit, click on our layout, and then go down here under our properties and click View. And I'll drop our view display here down. And for the width, I'm going to change this to 720. And the height, I'm going to change to 405. And as you can see, those dimensions give us a 16:9 aspect ratio. If we click on the layout again, we see the size of our layout. This big gray or lighter gray area on my screen might be a different color on yours. I'm going to change our width to 2000 and our height to 1000. Double click anywhere on our layout. It'll bring up our Create New Object Type window. I'm going to scroll down to Sprite and double click on that, and then I'll just click anywhere to insert it. So once you have downloaded the assets in the link below and you have them on your computer or whatever you are using for this, we can go up here to our load image from a file and navigate to where you have your assets saved. And in the sprites folder that I have provided, we have all the sprites that we're going to be using in this game. There's not many. And the first one I am going to add is Any Player Idle. I'm going to open it. We can zoom in here. And then I'm going to come over here, click on this animation 1, and then we can highlight this down here and rename it. I'm going to call it ANI_player idle. I always start my animations with ANI, short for animation, underscore, and then what the animation is. So this is going to be our idle animation, and it's just the one frame. So now I'm going to right click in this area and add another animation. Okay, this one is going to be our run animation, so there's going to be multiple frames. So if we come down here to the animation frames and right click and go to import frames from file, and here's our folder again, I'm going to control click all the individual frames that have run in the title, run, and then open. Then they'll give you a blank frame as the first frame. We can just right click and delete that. So you should have these 4 frames. Make sure that is highlighted and rename it ANI_player run. And then while we're here, I'm going to change the speed from 5 to 8 and make sure that loop is checked. And if we right click on it, we can preview it. And there's our run animation. Okay, pretty simple. Right click in this area and add another animation. This is a single frame, so we can go up here to load an image from file since it's just the one frame. And we're going to want the one that says Any Player Jump. There's 2 that have jump. We want the one that's player jump. So open that. Make sure that's highlighted. Let's rename it ANI underscore player jump. And then we can right click, add another animation. And this is going to be a single frame also. So come up here to load image from file. And we want the one that says any player swing. Open that up. Make sure it's highlighted. And let's rename this one ANI underscore player swing. So let's go ahead and set up a few things on each one of these. First off, if we select our image point tool here, I want it at the bottom center. So you can either just click right here between his two legs or press 2 on the number pad if you have a number pad on your keyboard. Or you can also right click on origin, go to quick assign and say bottom. And once we have that position there, I'm going to right click on origin and say apply to all animations. So now if we go through player run, all the frames have it in the same place, player jump, player swing. Now with player swing, I actually want it in a different place. We're going to put it right here in the middle of his hand. Let's go back to our player idle animation and go to our polygon box. And I'm not sure what Construct 3 decided to do here, but we will fix that. Just right click on any one of those nodes and go to set bounding box. Pull these in until I want just the body covered. So that's going to be 5, it looks like, on the X. So we can just click on those and type in 5. And for the X on this side, that's going to be 11. So I'll do the same thing, click on them, and then change their X to 11. So this is the bounding box I want for each frame. We can just right click on any of the nodes. Let's apply to all animations. That way, our idle, our run, our jump, and our swing all have the same bounding box setup. And the only one we'll have to change is the swing animation. So that cuts down on our work. Let's slide this over. It looks like that's going to be a 2 on the X. So make sure our 2 left nodes have the X value of 2. 2 right nodes, 9 and 9. And I also want to point out that on player jump, that even though he's in the air, our collision box goes all the way to the bottom of the frame. That should set us up for our player's animations. We can exit out of that. And then with that selected, let's come up here and change the name. I'm going to slide my panel out a little. I'm going to call this OBJ, short for object, and then underscore player. And again, this is just one of the naming conventions I like to use, because when we get a lot of objects and sprites and items over here in our folder system, if you name them consistently, they'll be much easier to find later on when you have several different objects in your folders. Okay, move him into our little dotted square here in the top left, and we can zoom in a little. Double click on the layout, go to sprite, click anywhere, and I'm going to go up here to our resize image canvas, and I'm going to change the width to 32 by 32. And I want the image point to be in the top left. Then let's take the fill tool, and I'm going to use a red color. We're not going to be able to see this in game. I'm going to make mine a nice bright red. Close out of that, and I will name this. I'm going to start this off with collision underscore floor. We can't just call it floor because that's already taken by the Construct 3 engine. And this is going to be one of a couple different collisions we're going to have in game, so I'm going to call this collision underscore floor. With this selected still, let's go down to behaviors over here in our properties panel and add a new behavior and pick solid. We can exit out of that, and I'm going to just put him somewhere right around there, stretch him out the full length of this dotted line. Click on our player. We can go to the properties, say edit behaviors, add new behavior, and scroll down and let's add the platform behavior. All right, that'll give us a little bit of functionality here. So if we go ahead and play this, I'm going to use my arrow keys on the keyboard, and I can run and jump, and we have a platform to land on, but we don't have our animation set up so he faces the same way every time. Okay, let's exit out of that. Okay, we can now add some input. Double click anywhere on the layout. It'll bring up our object type menu. We can scroll all the way down towards the bottom, and let's add a keyboard. Insert that. And now we can code things to correspond with our keyboard input. Let's go over to our event sheet, and we can add our first event. And I'm going to go to our keyboard, hit next, and I want to know when a key is down, not pressed, because pressed is a triggered event, which means it's going to trigger just the once when we press it. I want to know as long as I have my finger on a key, it is down the entire time. So let's key is down, click to choose, and I'm going to click the A button. Just press the A on your keyboard, hit OK, done. And I'm going to add an action, go into our player object, scroll down to our platform, and I'm going to pick simulate control. A is going to be left, hit done. Now if we just click in this little area, highlight the whole thing, Control C on the keyboard, Control V to paste. Now we can double click into this event and click on that and change our A to a D. Hit done. And click on this and change left to right. So now we have A and D as our left and right. We don't have to use the arrow keys anymore. Okay, I'm going to highlight this whole thing again. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Let's go into our D key, click on that, change it to W. Hit OK, done. And click on our action and change right to jump. Let's test that. Now I have control with A, D, and W. A is left, D is right, W is jump. I prefer that over the arrow keys. I'll click out of that. And now that we have this set up, let's go back into our layout, click on our player. If you want to use the arrow keys, then make sure default controls is checked. Otherwise, if you're going to use the WAD like we just set up, uncheck that. While we have our player selected and all the properties pulled up, let's change some of this. The max speed seemed really fast. I'm going to bump that down to 180. The acceleration, let's drop that down to 1200. The deceleration, I'm going to come down to 1200 as well. The jump strength, mine is at 650 by default. I'm going to go down to 500. And the gravity, I want him to float just a little bit more coming down. So from 1500, I'm going to go down to 1200. The max fall speed, I'm going to go down quite a bit. It's at 1000 by default. I'm going to go down to 400. The rest of this should be unchecked and set at 0 there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play that again. And now I feel like this is a much smoother control of our player. Let's go back to the event sheet. Let's add an event and let's go into our keyboard. And this time, instead of key is down, I'm going to go to key is pressed because I want this to trigger only one time when I press a key. So on key pressed, and that key is going to be the A key. Hit done. So when we hit the A key, we go left. And our player, by default, is facing to the right. So when we're going left, I want him to face the other direction. So on A pressed, let's add an action, go into our character, and up here in the search bar, I'm just going to start typing mirror, and I want set mirrored. And I want this to be mirrored, meaning it's going to flip it and face it the other direction. But once we tell it to face the other direction, if we ever want it to face the other direction, we're going to have to let it know. So let's highlight this entire block here. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Let's change our A to a D. And then go into our set mirrored and change that to not mirrored. We can play that. Now we go to the right, to the left, and he changes direction every time we press A or D. Okay. Add another event and go to our keyboard and let's go to our key is down. We used this one before. Let's get that again. And let's choose the A key. If we just highlight this keyboard event here, just this keyboard A is down, only that part highlighted, we can Control-C copy, Control-V paste, and it pastes another copy of it inside the same event. So let's double click on this bottom one and change that to a D. I want to say when I'm pressing A or D and our player is running left or right, I want the run animation to play. So instead of setting that up to read that code every time a key is pressed, we can do it in one event by making this say if A or D is down, then do the run animation. So I'm going to right click in this solid area over to the left of it, and I'm going to say make OR block. So another thing I want to check is if our player is actually on the ground, because I don't want the run animation to play while our player is in the air when we jump up here. So we need to check if our player is on the ground, but we can't do it in this same event because it's already an OR block. If we added a check of is he on the ground, it would be A or D or on the ground. But we want A or D and on the ground. Let's make sure this whole block is highlighted, and we can press B on the keyboard, and that adds a sub event. So construct 3 is going to check for this first, and if this is true, then it's going to move to this block. And if we double click into this one, we can go to our player and scroll down and say is on floor. And then to that we can add an action, go to our player and set animation. In our animation, in between quotation marks, I'm going to select animation run, start from the beginning. And make sure the name of your animation is in between quotation marks. So hit done. What we have is if A or D is down and the platform object, which is our player, is on the floor, then we're going to play the run animation. This isn't all the way set up, but we can go ahead and test it. There's our player. He's running, and he keeps running because we didn't tell it to do anything else. We just said if the key is down, play the run animation. So let's go ahead and add another event. Get our player object. Let's scroll down to is on floor. Hit next. So up here we have if the platform is on the floor, we run. Here we have if the platform is not on the floor, and we do that by highlighting this and hitting I on the keyboard, and that puts an X in front of the platform. That means the opposite. So platform is not on the floor. We can add an action, go to our player, set the animation, and this is going to be animation player jump. So anytime the player is not on a floor, it's going to play the jump animation. So whether you jump or you fall from another platform, we're going to be in the jump frame. So now we know when we want running playing, we know when we want jump playing. When we aren't controlling our player, we want to go back to that idle animation. Let's add an event, go to our player, scroll down to our platform, and we have one called is moving. So let's go to is moving, hit next, and we do the same thing up here. We want to know when the platform is not moving. So hit I on the keyboard with that highlighted, puts that X there. So when the platform is not moving, we can add the action, get our player, set the animation to any player idle, and that should take care of our player movement animations. Let's go ahead and preview that. So see, now our player stops, running to the right, running to the left, jumping, running and jumping, running and jumping. Everything seems to do exactly what it's supposed to do. I'm going to exit out of that, and then I'm going to right click down here and add a group, and I'm going to call this one player controls, and I'm going to highlight all of these and move them into this group. Just drag and drop them in there. And I'm going to take our mirrored and not mirrored, highlight both of those, and drag them up to the top of this group. The rest looks good. We will be doing a lot more to this group and this project. So for those of you using the free version, all you have for your object types is this folder, and that's fine. I'm going to make subfolders for mine because that keeps things more organized, but it's certainly not required. It has no impact on the functionality of the game. So if you have the subscription version, we can right click on the object types folder, add a subfolder, and I'm going to call this one OBJ for objects. I'm going to put my player in that folder. I'm going to close him up. I'm going to right click on the object types folder again, add a subfolder. I'm going to call this one input, and I'm going to drag that keyboard into there. And one more time, right click, subfolder. I always call this one meta, as in metadata. I don't know why, I just haven't ever come up with a better name for it. And I'm going to put our collision into that folder. And we will have more objects to go into all three of these folders as we move along. I'm going to end this video there. That covers our player control. I will see you in the next video. And as always, don't forget to save your project.